Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Lydia with Raindrop, Lila, and today I have a couple journals I wanted to share with you guys. I finished these the last week of December. I just couldn't resist working with the Coca-Cola packaging, okay? So basically that was my inspiration. We don't usually drink pop, but we got some Coke cans in one of those large boxes, and I just thought, how cool would it be as a journal? So that's what the base of the journal cover is. And then, of course, I used fabric, and I used all kinds of other supplies to make this journal. And I think it came out so cute. It's very, very junk journal-ish, if that makes sense. I tried to use a lot of recycled type of pieces, but I also did use ribbons and all kinds of other stuff to just make it, to kind of pretty it up, right? And then I also used the bottle caps on there. I flattened them. Now they are a little bit, they're not perfect, obviously, because I did it handmade. But I think they're so cute, and I think that they just add a lot of charm to the journal. I just realized that they are charms. And so I used buttons. I used all kinds of little pieces. And then the bells. I love the bells. Aren't they just so cute? And then I got the jingle bells right there, too. So I have actually 3 journals. These 2 have like Coca-Cola and Santa in them, and then this one is just like more of a vintage little journal in a tin. So we'll do that one last, and we'll start with this one. I think it's so fun. I'm kind of obsessed with it. And so I have the bells on here. This could be removed. I did a little bit of layering on here. Let's see, this right here is a vintage book. I believe it's a vintage book. It's the spine from a vintage book, the gray part. And then I have just a lot of texture. And then the label is one of my printables. Okay, I use this, the glossy accents, for to kind of seal that top and give it kind of like a glassy feel. I think it's really cool. So here's a closer look. And this is definitely a vintage e-journal, and there are a lot of like, I like to add character with some of the natural parts of the pieces I use. So I didn't cut it, I tore it, and I love how you can see the craft color on the inside of that. I also use this fabric. I use this vintage, I don't know what it is. It's like netting, but I love it so much. It's just so, I think it adds so much to this. This trim is from Michaels. I love the trim. I think it's so pretty, and it goes all the way to the back, and then it ties with this ribbon. Okay, so let's get started. In the front pocket, I have this little, it's like a little mini, folio, and it's perfect for journaling. Oh, I did get a lot of requests to show you guys how I use the register tape in my journals, and this is another way how I use it. I just add journaling space in there, and I do have these in my Etsy shop, and I believe they're on sale for $5 each, and they're just so much paper there. I think it is really, really great to use. Okay, so I'm just going to set that aside for now. Okay, then I have this tag with the big ribbon. Again, lots of journaling space. And it tucks in here so you can see the bow on the front. I think that's so cute. Then I have this with all the journaling space, and then this is one of my printables. Oh, you know what I need to do? I need to measure it. This is basically a mini journal. It's not as large as my usual journals, but it's really, really like full. So it's like it's about 3.5 inches thick. But then okay, the cover is about 5 inches tall. And then it is about 6.5 inches wide. So it's it's wider, right? Then, isn't this so cute? I love this. The Coca-Cola. This is a Coca-Cola box. And so it has imperfections, but I think it's cute and it adds to the character. It looks so old and vintage, and I do love it. Okay, so here I have, basically I layered some tickets there, and then I have this, and it's like a little tuck spot right there. And then isn't this so cute? You can tuck something in right there. Okay, so here I have this little piece. Again, I used a lot of different vintage pieces. I used this vintage fabric. Okay. And then it opens up and you got some journaling space inside. And I tied it up with this pretty yarn. I use this vintage little, it's like one of those inserts in magazines. Okay, I used one of these viewfinders. Isn't that so cute? And it makes a little tuck spot here. And isn't that a cute card? It says shop. Okay, so here I have this little journal. Is it a journal or is it? Okay, it's actually more like a journaling card. So you can journal on the inside. It's all decorated. And isn't that just so sweet? Then that's one of my printables. I layered some fabric right there. This is a vintage book page. I really wanted to have a really like nostalgic old feel to this journal, and I did a lot of layering. Here's a paper bag that I used, and then in here I have this little notepad, and isn't this cute? I love this. I love the colors. That tucks in here. And then again, a little vintage book page. I think it's so cute. Coffee dyed paper. Another, an image from a vintage magazine. And then this is one of my printables, vintage book page and vintage fabric. I just love the way it came together. This is a pocket, and I have these pieces in here. Vintage paper. And then this is another pocket. And I included these tags on here. This right here is a great place for journaling on. I love to journal about your day, or even using this spot as to add a photo or like a postcard. It's really cute. Okay, this is a little tag I made. Then I included some book pages, some tickets, and then this little playing card with the Santa. And the Santa is drinking Coca-Cola. Okay, so this is a Coca-Cola themed journal, but I love that vintage look to it. This is a book page. I love this image too. I feel like it fits so well with the whole look of the Coca-Cola vintage. Okay, this right here, I actually used some of this again on it to give it like a little bit of gloss. And it almost like adds like, it kind of seals it. Okay, so this right here is it's like a great place to do some journaling inside. Okay. I love to journal about my day or even collage on these type of papers. And then you fold them up and then they just get tucked away. Like right there. This is a little tag and it's a great place for journaling on. And then this is a pocket, and isn't that cute? This is, I think it's from let's see. I think it's from a box. I'm not positive, but I like that because it said refrigerated, and then you got the little snowman. Isn't that so cute? I thought it was so darling. And then this is actually a pocket. And then I love that you can see the magazine page behind it with like all the Christmas cookies. And then you have this tag. Isn't that so cute? Okay, so on this side, I have this. I did some collaging on here. This is actually the other side of the paper bag. And there's, it looks like an old-fashioned Santa Claus in a workshop. And I found this maker's page. It said, the title is from a magazine, but I thought it fit perfectly on there. That is so cute. And then inside I have this piece, and you can definitely either glue down some paper for journaling, you can collage in here, or you can add photos in there. I think that is such a cute little, a little ephemera piece to tuck in. Okay, and then I decorated this side. Okay, so this right here is like a little tuck spot. See that with the string? I love that. I think it's so cute. And again, the word keep is from a box, and I just felt like it worked really well. And then there's a little tag with the Santa. I think it's so cute. Maybe I'll just tuck it there. So here on this other side, we have a paper clip with a ribbon, and it's holding this journaling card right there. See that? So this could be journaled on and then tucked in here, or you can also just tuck in you can glue down a photo and just tuck it underneath the bow. Okay, and then I have this piece. I love the corrugated cardboard. I think it adds such a cool look. I just love the whole feel of this journal. It's very, very vintage. And then you got wishes, and you can actually write your wishes on the back. I tried to use a lot of different vintage ephemera in this journal, and I have some printables, but it's mostly, I feel like it's mostly vintage stuff in here. Same with this. This is the other side of that vintage. It's like a little postcard type of thing, and perfect place for journaling. And then here's the other side. This is from a book. Isn't that pretty? And I decorated with some snowflakes, and then I made this little, it's like a little house, and I added that sentence here. I think that's so cute from the story. When I was in kindergarten, I was in a play. I think this was the book that we did a play on, so I think it's so cute. A little bit of journaling space on here, and I love the shape of this tag. It's like a little house, like a Christmas house. Okay, and then here you can do journaling on there, or you can add some, maybe a photograph. I love this. This is some vintage. No, it's not vintage. It's just some older wallpaper, not wallpaper, wrapping paper. I've had it for maybe, I don't know, a few years. And I actually bought it to use in my journals, and I feel like it fits so well with the whole theme. This right here is a Coca-Cola. I have some here. I have some playing cards, some Coca-Cola playing cards, and this is how it came. And so what I did was I just covered it with book page, right? So that you can see just the bottom Coca-Cola sign. And then I added a label, which I used this glossy accents on because I wanted kind of that raised effect. And I stapled a little bit of twine on there and a little bit of this pom-pom trim. And then this just makes a little tuck spot. I use, I think that's a file folder. Okay, and so that's a little tuck spot. This right here is a little journaling card. Isn't that so cute? And then check out the little stamp. Okay, so this stamp is, again, from some packaging. So I had a box or some packaging with red print, and I just been tearing pieces off to use for this journal, and I think it's so, so cute. Okay, so we have, this is a little tag. I made this piece. Isn't that so cute? Again, this is one of the playing cards, and I'm going to have these in my Etsy shop, just a couple of them. for sale if you guys are still looking for ephemera, Christmas ephemera for your journals. I know that I always journal after Christmas because during the December month, I'm busy with events and different things. So I don't journal for myself personally until after Christmas. So if you guys are the same way, I do have a few Christmas pieces that I am adding to my Etsy shop that you can pick up. Okay, so this will be coming to my Etsy shop. If you don't see it under my handmade journal section, then it's sold. Okay, but I'll link it below so you guys can check. Sometimes you guys get to my Etsy shop before I get to update it. So if I get a chance, if I see it, I will update and say sold at the top of the description. I will link the digitals I used if you guys are interested in using some of the same pieces. If you guys want to make something similar, it's a really fun project. And it's so cool to just use this, the Coca-Cola packaging to make yourself a Coca-Cola journal. I think it's so cute. And honestly, it's funny because I grew up, I never liked pop until I got older. And now I only like Coca-Cola. I don't really like other pop, but I think this one is so cute and I love the nostalgic feel of it. Okay, so that one is the first one. And then I have this mini and it's so cute. Oh my gosh. So you can see I started that one and I couldn't stop. I had to make another one and then I had to make this one too. And let's see. This one is about 3.5 by 5.25 inches. Okay, isn't that so cute? Oh my gosh, I love it. It reminds me of my childhood. Okay, the cover with the Santa Claus, again, is made from packaging. So true junk journal style, right? I don't want to get into the whole debate whether it's a junk journal or not, but for those that love using and repurposing packaging, things like that, this is definitely a repurposed journal with a lot of bits and pieces from that I use for repackaging. Obviously, I love creating and I don't limit myself and use only packaging or only printables or whatever. I like to use whatever supplies I have because I don't want to limit my creativity, right? So I will use whatever I have. I use everything. And that's what I love about junk journals. I feel like there's a freedom to just create, right? It's just, that's the whole point of junk journals, is just create and use whatever you want or whatever you have. So now the packaging did have, you can see the marks on there, right? But I like it anyways. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys are aware of that. I also have the little reindeer on the bottom, the bells, and then one of these bottle caps. Okay, and then I have it tied up again, and then I have a little tree on there. And I think it's so, so cute. Okay, let's open it up so you guys can see what is inside. I used, this is part of a box I peeled off the paper. I was going to mention one more thing. I love repurposing things, but I also wanted to mention that when I repurpose things, it takes so much more time to use pieces that you're repurposing versus things that you buy or like scrapbook paper. It would be a lot easier to just use scrapbook paper to do this than to peel or tear and create it. But I love the look. So of course, again, I use whatever materials fit my project, right? My project is where I could be creative and my supplies or whatever will support my project. I hope that makes sense. So that in that case, I just peeled some of the paper off a box to use because I love the red and I love the brown. And then I use, this is the back of it, that's wrapping paper. And then the journal cover itself is actually a file folder. And I love the green. Again, it fits the project so well because you have red and green. And so the file folder is just perfect for that. And I love the color too. It has such a vintage feel, right? Okay, so this is a strip of fabric that I used. It's just some vintage fabric. This is one of my labels. And then I tucked in one of these plain cards and then a little tag. Okay, so here I used some burlap to kind of add some texture underneath the wreath. And then I have a label that says Christmas. And then I also have the fabric on the spine there. I have the little tag there with the fabric. Isn't that just so pretty? I keep seeing this fabric everywhere with the Ralph Lauren Christmas look. So all that old style Christmas is coming back and I love it. I think it's pretty. Okay, here, this is again a little collage I did with fabric. So, and then I have the lace and then this really old paper and I love it so much. Okay, I did a little collage here with the train. This again is one of my printables. I believe it's a sepia printable. And again, I layered some. I love this stuff so much. It's the same stuff I used for the pocket on the inside cover of this Coca-Cola journal. And then I just did some layering and I love it. I think it adds a lot of interest. And then isn't she just so sweet? I have fabric on the side there. I did a little bit of collaging. There's some writing space there. This is a little cassette. I have this as a printable and I love using it. You can actually hand write something right there, like maybe your favorite song or just Christmas music maybe. And then you can write down your favorite Christmas songs. That I love doing that. And this is just a music sheet. This is one of my printables. And I did a lot of layering. You can see that. I think layering adds so much. So I love layering. In my journals, I have this vintage lace. It's like an eyelet cotton. And I think it's so cute. And isn't that page just sweet? I love it. It just reminds me of my childhood. Because I remember this is how a lot of the advertisements looked. I don't know, it was like 80s, 90s. And stickers were like this. So that is just, it just reminds me of my childhood. I have another little card there. And then this is just a little bit of writing paper. And then this, can you guys tell what it is? This is one of the Coke bottles. I cut it out. So you're going to want to be careful. I mean, I don't think I'm running my hand over it and it's not cutting me. I actually, I glued it on here and then I added some fabric, but isn't that cute? I just love it. I had to use it in one of my journals. I cut it out and I used it. Okay. And then isn't that cute? I love that. Then this is a little tuck spot. And I did some collaging here. I did some more collaging. I have this. Isn't that cute? I love that too. That's in one of my printables also. And I tucked in this little tag. Okay. Then here I have another tag. And then I have the last page with the pocket. And then I have different pieces just tucked inside here that can be used in the journal. Right? Okay, so that's this little mini journal. I think it's so cute and so much fun. Okay, so now I have one more journal left. And it's inside this tiny little tin. I think it's so cute. And it's 2 1/4 inches. Oops, by, let's see, 3 3/4. Did I say that right? Yeah. And then it's almost 1 inch the tin is. So this was an Altoids tin. I love the red top. And then I actually sanded off the back of it, right? Now, I've bought these before from Amazon, but I just thought it would be cute to use a real Altoid tin. Of course, you can age it if you wanted to. You can distress it, but I just did this with it. I think it's so cute. Now, the cover, the girl on the cover, I used the glossy accents to seal it and add that little, you see that? It's like a protective coating. It's almost like a thicker, it makes it almost like a sticker, and there is a little bit of, it does look a little bit rustic right there, right? Okay. And then you open it up and, oops. I lined these with some paper. I actually glue these down. Okay, and then here's the little journal. Isn't it so cute? This is really inspired by kind of like a new year. And even though it's so tiny, gosh, it took a lot of time. It's funny how something so little can take so much time to work in, but I wanted to make something tiny like this, and I think it's so cute. Okay, so when you open it up, it's lined with fabric, this really pretty red fabric, the red plaid. And then I have a little heart there, and it says, "Today Matters." Isn't that cute? And then you have an image of this girl. And then you turn the page, and then you can see here it says flower remarks. The remarks was already there on this page, and I just cut the word flower from a book page. And it just seemed to fit, so I added it on there. And then I have these pages. I did a little bit of collage with the birds. And again, I used a lot of words from magazines and or like vintage magazines. And it says, "I've been thinking, trust the journey, act now." And then you have her face here because basically it's a girl's journal or a diary. And you have the car, and I think the car represents acting, like action or moving forward. And then you have another image of the girl. And this one, I actually used some tape on here, and I actually made it, I wanted to make it look a little bit old. So you'll see like little spots right there, right? I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera. And then I have Your Dream Moment, and I have some lace on the background with some craft paper. And then Flowers That Bloom. We have the rose right there. And then Life's Little Joys. We got the roses. And then Cherish Every Moment. We have the rose. And then I have the little bird, and it's like flying. And it says, "Life is made of small moments." And then you have another image of the girl, and then this really pretty vintage fabric or lace. And then the back says, "Your Day." Okay, so that's my little journal. It's like a little art journal. I loved working with words. And I hope you guys enjoy this little mini journal. And it's also coming to my Etsy shop. So I'll have 3 little journals in my Etsy shop. And I also have, I'm going to be adding these to my Etsy shop. I just have a few. There's going to, basically each listing is for 4 cards. Okay. So they're all the Santa Claus, the Coca-Cola Santa game cards, and then this one, and the backs will all be different, right? So these will be in my shop if you want to pick one up to use. And then I also wanted to share with you guys one more. This, I actually made a craft with me. And hopefully I'll have it ready soon. My husband wasn't able to edit it just yet. But I'm actually going to put this in my Etsy shop. This is a great little piece that you can tuck inside a journal. I use tissue paper for the cover and it opens up. And isn't that so pretty? I have this piece inside. And you can journal on there. And then I have this piece with the embroidered snow. So I'll have these available if anybody wants them. Okay, and then I have one more thing I wanted to share. I got some Happy Mail from Lily. And I really wanted to share it on here. You guys, if you're on Instagram, go check her out. She actually has an Instagram shop where she sells her journals. She sent me this ledger. Isn't that just so beautiful? So big. Oh my gosh. I love that. And then she made me this. She's also on my design team, so check her out because she has really, really beautiful work. Isn't that pretty with a snowflake? Okay, and then she made me this folio or ephemera folder. Isn't that so pretty? Oh my gosh. So this, oh gosh, that is such nice texture. And look at all the stitching. I love the stitching. And then how pretty is that with the pocket is so pretty. I love this so much. And then there's a little cluster right there. And then she tucked in, oh my gosh, I love this so much. I loved old paper like this because I feel like it's hard to come by. So, so pretty. Okay, so that, and then I think these are like either songs or poetry, and I love that. Oh my goodness. Beauties in nature. So pretty. And then look at that. The Merchant of Venice. I think these are poems. So pretty. Oh, and these are really great too. Look at that. Look at these old papers. And I love the red writing. And I love the typewriter print on there. Isn't that pretty? Oh, and then look at that. This is wallpaper. It feels and looks like leather. It has a leather feel. So pretty. And then she made me this tag. Isn't that pretty? Okay, and look at this side here, guys. I love that. I love the little tuck spot right there. Isn't that cool? Oh my goodness, look how pretty that is. I'm going to open it because, look, isn't that pretty? And then this side too. I love that. Okay, let's see these pieces. Isn't that so cute? I don't know if you can, if it's focusing. So pretty. I love that. And then this one, look at all that lace. And then this piece too. Look at the stitching, is so pretty. Okay, and then I got a postcard here. New Zealand. Ooh, so pretty. And then look at that. The hymn of Christ's nativity. This is cool. So it sounds like they're Christmas songs. I love that. And then look at this. I love the red. And I love that it says fairy tale. That's so cool. So pretty. Thank you so much, Lily, for the Happy Mail. Oh my gosh. I can't believe you sent this to me. This is so, so pretty and so special. You guys go check out her Instagram account. She's got amazing inspiration, and she sells her journals also through Instagram, or on Instagram. She'll share the images, and so you can purchase from her straight through her. So I will link her below so you guys can go check her out. I want to also mention my Inspiration January 2026. It's a collaboration where we have prompts, and every single day this month, we are going to be sharing a prompt. Most of us are on Instagram, but I will be also sharing on YouTube. I will be linking everybody in my YouTube account. So check my YouTube video for Inspiration January, okay? And you'll find all the details. You guys can follow along and be inspired. And hopefully this will inspire you guys to create and work in your journals throughout the month. Okay, thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.